First of all, welcome everybody. This is the 4:30 p.m. meeting. I think it is who's to awaken and to what? Yeah. Now, can we just do you believe what you are is confused about what it is? But there is confusion about what it is, yes? But it would seem to be obvious it's not coming from what it is. Yeah? So what it is must be looking at what it is from another point of view. Let's say what it ain't. And so from what it ain't what it is. Yeah. Because it's a very big topic of arrival or goal, or it's like the spiritual Olympics are based on finding what you are, yeah, and having it stabilize. But where does everything start from? In time. Starts with what we're not, yeah? So wouldn't it make sense that if you're taking the given that they say is the given in non-duality, which is being ourselves reality, uh, then maybe just be open to sense what doesn't believe that, yeah? What is it that's trying to attain reality? It mustn't take itself to be reality. Or why the hell would it want to attain reality? So does it feel like you're a person? Is there a sense of being an individual with private thoughts and private feelings and may do something that you wouldn't do and may not do something that you would do? Isn't that the starting point in time? We start in time, there's a prejudice already of being what you're not. Yeah. So there's a strong sense of what we're not being what we are, obviously. Yeah. To the point where the sense of being what we are doesn't seem to get through, so to speak. And then we're left with the only possibility when, after whatever happens, you get a vague sense that there could be more or something else is going on. And yet every ship would be launched from that harbor, that port, yeah? The port of what you're not. So, in a weird way, every journey that you go on to find out the truth is a journey that reinforces that you're not the truth. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Give me a nod every once in a while, just a little nod if they're
Yeah.
following. Good. So after being confronted with this year, all these years and years of trying to arrive at some place and seemingly always failing, and even if you do arrive, you seem to be evicted pretty quickly. Yeah, that maybe there's another way of looking at it, not looking at it as I failed once again and that I have to do more, or it's got to be clearer or better or more purified or whatever. You must have exhausted that card, yeah? I mean, you've played that card so many times. It's not a winning hand. Yeah. So recognizing there's a confirmation bias that we're starting as the thing, and in the view of non-duality, the thing is a non-existent thing. Yeah. From our view, the thing is an existent thing, and it's the thing that's conscious, not a consciousness of a thing, a non-existent thing, but a conscious thing. Yeah. So that's the established point, not what you are. In this little time and space capsule, what you're not is more established than what you are. Yeah. And the only way many of us could entertain what you are was as what we're not. That's the only way we could entertain it. Yeah. And from what we're not, we were not what we are. It's just obvious because you're already something. And that something needs to be purified or used to arrive somewhere, and on and on and on and on and on. And it's almost as if we've gone through the species of horses, and they every one of them dies, so to speak, and we end up riding a dead horse. Yeah, it ain't about the horse; it's the jockey, so to speak. Yes. So this message, maybe it works better because obviously when you wake up, you feel like it's you waking up. If you are in infinite space, you feel like you're coagulated in one little place. Yeah. Yeah. And that little idea of I am is used to imply there's an I am Paul, and everything revolves around the Paul, not the I am. Yeah. Da, 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 da. And so every time you hear a topic about the I am, you hear it as a Paul. Yeah. And it seems like Paul has to be convinced of something before anything is becomes possible. Non-duality, the way I see it, is a negation of that premise, yeah, of what we're not. So Ramana would said this important, I think, very important, in different ways. And if you read a number of people's, you know, writing down his teaching, this would be in all of them. So it's an important part where he says there's a presupposing of a non-existent thing. Yeah. Let's just say the thing. We won't give any meaning to it yet. The thing. Yeah. Thing here. His view would have been there's a presupposing of a non-existent thing. And what's being presupposed doesn't change the fact that this is a non-existent thing. What's being presupposed in time is that the non-existent thing is an existent thing. Yeah. No, so what? No big deal. Mix a little mix of non-existent, existent. How can you go that wrong? Yeah. And now figure it out later. But you won't figure it out later because every later is going to be entertained as the non-existent thing taken to be an existent thing. Yeah, this is the dilemma. So every wanting to get out of it is reinforcing the idea you're in it. Yeah. And it happens so fast, there's not a process that is, I feel, that's available in this time to get before that process. So the process of the head claiming the non-existent thing to be an existent thing, I believe, is the quickest process there is in time. Yeah. And I humbly believe that what comes after that process cannot infect that process. But that process can infect what comes after it. So when you are in another process trying to get out of the original process, what it turns that process to get out of it is into a condition of called self can't get out of self. The small s self, the feeling of a long-lasting, independent, separate thing. Yes? It's a manufactured, it's a sense, it's not true. But everything that's thought about, everything that's attempted to be understood, everything that's grokked is grokked from that point that you're an existent thing. Yeah? That you are the I am, so to speak. So, as a body, that process infects every other process. You could do something. This is I happened with me when I was engaged with the Course in Miracles. It became obvious that the body seemed to be the big obstacle. Yes, I didn't know exactly, but there it was. And so I was keen on whatever could sort of weaken that body idea. And there was a lesson in the Course of Miracles, which was I am not a body. I am not a body. I am free, for I am as just God created me. Something like that. So for a while there, I would be almost like chanting that. I'd be chanting that lesson. I'm not a body, I am free. And then I noticed, yeah, I noticed the only thing that would be chanting it's not a body is a body identification. Yeah. So what I'm trying to share here, I've seen. So the body was taken to be me, and I was trying to get out of a body as a body. What's not a body doesn't chant, it's not a body. It's very clear it's not a body. It's only it's the body identification that in most cases doesn't want to be a body because it's a fucking drag a lot of the time. So it's chanting, I'm not a body, but it wants to have the experience of not being a body as a body. You don't see the frustration. How are you going to fix that? How is the body going to fix that? It's not. But if you see you're not the body, then there's no need to fix it. Now, as a body, when I believed I would be hit the point where I wasn't a body, I was assuming all that stuff that implies I'm a body would stop. That hasn't been the case because I'm not doing it. I have never been doing the selfing. I'm not choosing to be my own worst enemy. I'm not choosing to hate myself. This is a mechanical activity that goes on, awake or not, because we're all awake, basically. We may seem to be asleep to that, or we may seem to be awake to that, but that is that awakeness. Yeah. So all this stuff just led me to see the incredible, and I'm just sharing from where here, the incredible value of negation. It's just not netty netty because usually there's one man or woman at the end of netty netty, which is you. But this is a negation of the one that's chanting netty netty, not this, not this. Yes? It's a negation of that. After you negate everything else, that which negated everything else gets negated. Yes? And there you go. Yeah. What happens? I don't know. Find out. Yeah. So it's just like the story we used to have about the big huge camera and it's walking around on a mobile tripod and it's got 360 HD and then he sees a little cardboard box camera that usually only has one roll of film, has a plastic lens, and it looks through that camera. And by looking through the camera, it seems to forget that it's the big camera. And now every thought it has is coming from the little camera. Every desire, every interest, every understanding is framed as the little camera. All the while, still being the big camera, it lives as if it's the small camera. And some of the qualities of the small camera start to bother it, which is this plastic lens, I can't see shit, literally. So I just basically point and hope. And you have a vague memory. You were a super HD 360-degree super camera, and now you can't even see what's right in front of you. So what happens? Bound or bonded to the idea that it's the cardboard camera, no matter what, its only idea of its own nature is to hope and pray that it could become that nature through the cardboard camera. Yeah. And therefore, it starts buying Nikon lenses and starts putting these very expensive lenses on the lens of the cardboard box. But the plastic lens overrides all the other lenses. The Nikon lenses don't take care of the plastic lens because of its position. You're seeing through the plastic lens first. Yes? If you were seeing it after, it would be quite different. But it's the first one in place. So every lens you put on it, you're still going to see through every one of those lenses through the first lens, which is the plastic lens. Yes, you see it. So all the failure of all the lens and getting like surgically laser like concentration and mindfulness and all this and all that are all infected and actually are being used to reinforce the first process, which is the process that you are an existent thing. Yeah. Contrary to the fact that you're a non thing. Yeah. You're a non existent thing. What? Yeah. So now everything the non existent thing does as an existent thing reinforces this idea that it's an existent thing. How is it going to get, how are they go, all these practices, how are they going to destroy that? They're reinforcing the idea that you're a someone. They're not weakening it. Yeah. What? When I read that, man, it was sort of, wow, the house of cards didn't even have to fall down. All I had to do was see one card, and then I realized the whole house was full of cards. Yeah. Yeah. Now I can't, I've been entertaining this idea and stuff, and it's been entertaining me for 20 something years. I even have a seat assignment, and yet I do not believe any process in time is going to beat this process in time. I just don't. I think the selfing is going to outdraw, bring your fucking Sri Mata Mata gunslinger. It's still going to lose. Yeah. Because the gunslinger has to pull the gun out. This gun is got you beat. But the one thing that can beat it is us. Yeah. Being ourselves reality. We are not of time. We seem to be in time, but we're not of time. And the process of no process can see all the processes of time. So you can finally see what you've been looking from all these years. You can. That's the point. And it was such an important point to me. Whatever was talking through this told me, do not move from this point. Because if you don't see this, you're going to be looking from it. Yeah. You're going to be you're going to be looking from the presupposing of the mental process that you are an existent thing. And I do not believe anything you can do after that can get before that. I just don't. So it infects everything that comes after and is very rarely even touched by what comes after. Yeah. So what's one to do? Well, find out. First, let your spiritual pants fall and just see what happens. Yeah. This is why. Why do you think Huang Po would say you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha? He wasn't talking to Steve and Julie and Paul. He was talking to our nature, which is not of time. Our nature is not of thing. Yeah. Existing or non existing, it's not of thing. Yeah. So the seeker is the sought. Wow. Yeah. How does the seeker find out it's the sought? Probably if it stops seeking. Let's check it out. Yeah. Because the seeking is essential to keep implying the seeker. If the seeking stops, you're going to see the seeker as the emperor with no clothes. Definitely are. And then when you get over that embarrassment, you're going to find that's what you've always been looking for. That which has been used to look for everything is what you've been looking for. Yeah. Yeah. And then come the satsang to have it reinforced. You know, this is like preaching to the choir and singing as the choir. Yeah. That's the only thing I can sell. I just share what's happening with me, and there it went. Yeah. When when Ramana said this incredible thing, because how many groups have you gone to where sooner or later there's a question of free will, free will or predetermination, or is there free will in predetermination, which gets a little more, slicker. And Ramana on this one of these little booklets I got from when I was over in India. It was like 5 cents, and it has billions of dollars of value, but they're for a nickel, 5 cents. I don't think there's no. Did I have to think that much to buy 5 cents or one? I don't know what it was. So he's getting this question, and this is beautiful if you can hear this, because hear it in time. He says, if there's a sense of individuality, there'll be a sense of free will. Yeah. Where does the sense of individuality come from? Does it come from an individual? No, it doesn't. It's a presupposing from in the mental condition, the presupposing of being an individual, where he says all that is a sense of individuality. And if there's a sense of individuality, there's going to be a sense of free will. Wow. Have you ever been stumped when you've been in a retreat for 2 weeks and you leave, and maybe the retreat was specifically on you don't have any free will, and then you stopped at Baskin Robbins and they have 28 different flavors? It sure felt like you had free will, yes? Those 2 weeks get negated like that because this is the programming of the action figure. Why waste any time trying to change the programming? Just bypass it, yeah? So then he says the only value these questions have is to point at who's asking the question. Unbelievable. Bingo. And this is why we humbly, and we fail many times, I imagine, we humbly keep trying to stay on point in these Zooms. Yes? I'm not interested in what comes after. I'm interested is who is it that's before? Yeah? Because the head has itself to be before, and it is part of the after. You and I are the before, not as long lasting, independent individual entities, but as what we are. We are the before. And being that, we can see whatever comes after. Nothing can disguise itself for enough time to fool that which is before. So you will see the manufacturing of you from the act of selfing all day, and you'll lose interest in it because it's now you've entertained an idea. Hey, it might not be me. And you know what? When you, let's say, sincerely take that position, because it's actually true, you'll be established in that position quickly. Yeah. Because it's actually true. You hit pay dirt. You won the lottery, so to speak. You've been trying to make shit that wasn't true all day. You finally land on what's true. Yeah. I'm not that. Yeah. And then all of that yapping, all that stuff that was used to imply you is now used to negate you. Yes, yes, hallelujah. It's finally put to its true value, which is I'm not that. How how am I going to remember this all fucking day? The head's yapping all day, presenting not you. Yeah. If you need any reminder, you're the reminder. Yeah. But instead of saying, oh, I think, no, I'm not. Yeah. So let yourself finally admit you're a selfish motherfucker and therefore you're not. Hallelujah. Yeah. Or you're afraid of being a fraud. You feel like one all the time. Let it land. I'm a fraud and therefore you're not. Yeah. So the truth will set you free. Exactly. Instead of trying to make shit true or false, the truth will set you free from that. Yeah. You'll know what's true and you'll know a lot that isn't. And when that keeps being presented, you'll greet it. It doesn't mean you say it, but you'll be in the attitude, I'm not that. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the closest we can get to being what we are in time and space is through the negation of what we're not. I don't see it. And you can't experience yourself. You can't. You can't understand it. You can't. You can't because you are it. Yeah. If you were something else, you could understand it. If you were something else, you could experience it. But you're not. So those things are, I mean, isn't that how this is? We're like a one trick pony. Yeah. We try to do and have ourselves into conditions and to do and have ourselves into other conditions. Yeah. We never, being is, has no interest. Becoming, I'll sign up for 50 years. I will. If you gave me a plan to become a super fucking whatever, I'd sign up for 50 years. If you tell me I am that right now, I lose interest completely. And there you go. Who the hell loses interest completely? Not you. Hallelujah. Finally. Yeah. Yeah. So that's my pitch. Yes. I do not believe, like he said, if this is the case, that the presupposing of the non-existent thing of being an existent thing and then wanting to get salvation for that existent thing, your spiritual practices themselves are reinforcing the existent thing, then how can they destroy it? Pretty good statement, yeah? If you have a sense of that, it gives you the great value of negation, seriously. If you actually realize the activity of what you're not, it's just going to instill so much value in negation. It really is. Yeah. No more wasting in affirming that which is already affirmed, arriving at that which is already, you're already there. Yes. Attaining that which can never be attained. All of that just gets dismissed. Yes. Yeah. All the misunderstandings shrivel up. Yeah. And then you don't get gypped on this Tuesday. Like you've never been gypped on any Tuesday. You just thought so. Yeah. Now you don't believe the thoughts. You don't. They're false evidence, and why they seem to be so true. I was having them as false evidence. The non-existent thing was presenting itself as the thinker. Yeah. As the doer, as the haver, as the seer, as the feeler, but it ain't. Yeah. The telescope hasn't ever seen a star. The greatest telescope has not ever seen a star, ever, ever. Yes? We are like the telescope to awareness. Yeah? The body is like a telescope for awareness. If and isn't even that, but let's dress it up that way. Yeah. So every day your head says, I'm the one, I'm this, I'm that. That I is represented by a body. When you're remembered as a thing. When you're worried about as a thing. When you take yourself to be something, you take yourself to be a thing. Yes? How best to get to non-thing is by negating thing. That's all. Simple. Yeah? You can't get to non-thing as a thing. You can't. People have this wish as a thing. They want to be there to experience their absence. They're not going to have that. Yeah. A thing is not going to experience non-thing. You see the thing as non-thing. Yeah. And you lose interest in experiencing. You do. You lose interest in knowing. You lose interest in a lot of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. It's almost as if well-earned ignorance, not just ignorant from the get-go, but you thought you were really had it going on, and then you realize you get dumbed down sufficiently, like spiritual ignorance. It's great. Yeah, it is. So that's the premise here, like it or not. That's the way it is. There's nothing new in non-duality. Uh, yeah. Thank God it's like not 40. It's only not two. Could you imagine if it was not 533 things. No, not two. Where am I going to find this two that I'm not? Right where you're sitting right now. The head's thinking it's about you as a thing, and then you're thinking about other things as a subject. Yeah. So subject object is the event all day, and we're not that. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thanks.
So if anybody would like to ask a question or have a comment on this, please use the raise hand feature. Oh, go ahead, Annette.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, Paul, I'm curious of how what's going through my mind as I'm listening to this. It sounds very familiar. It's something, it's something that you've been saying so long as I've been coming around.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
and something I heard, you know, that I can, I relate to, but I'm not even sure how or what, but it just like resonated like, yeah, is that, within like the 12 step, scene that like the third voice, like there, like something else. And that's something I've not ever been able to talk about, since, and I feel like it's just always been there since I started 20 something years ago, and I would just like go from fellowship to fellowship, thinking like, oh, I got to do the 12 steps on this, and then on this, and then on that, because I'm not someone who has a substance per se issue, Uh, I'm gifted with all the process, quote unquote, addictions and whatever that means. That's what the kids are calling it today, But yeah, so a lot of material for the head for sure, and a lot of
Well, it's
wandering
basically,
around.
yeah, but you said those ahas aren't the finding of something new. It's like the the dinging of something already there. Yes?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
knowing how to put it into words and making me create, like crazy. So I don't know. I never even heard anyone allude to it as I did in this one YouTube I listened to you recently, and just the way the context. So I don't even know if calling it a third voice right now when I say it, I'm like, what am I even talking about? But that's what I meant. That's what I like my
Yeah.
something was telling me or reminding me of like, yeah, it's not you, you know, there is something else. you know, there's something more here, you know? Yeah.
Yes, it's not you and it is you, really you. And then
It's
the
yeah.
masquerading of you gets established permanently in the not you.
It's like so unsatisfying, like that's how I don't know. It's like I would be resonating and loving the truth and the unconditionality of the whatever comes the what do you call it? The conscious, the group conscious that it's
Yeah.
this platform where it's just so impersonal, and just it's beautiful. And I just never could find words, Oftentimes I would raise my hand with just like this in a way of like feel so just moved, and then I would start up like saying I don't even know what I'm gonna say or how to say, and then I don't even know, I would just talk, or
Yeah.
whatever. And yeah, it just ran its course though, I feel like, because the self always won out. you know I can do a number over here for sure, or I have in the past, I'll say.
Yeah. Well, it can only win out in time, a space. Yes. So that victory is short-lived. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of stuff can actually be put to rest. Yeah. In my case, it was understanding was a good way to lead the horse to the water. Yeah. For some reason, when at certain points in my life when something was explained to me, I got it. Like in early recovery, uh, I remember before I was in this program called Project Return in the Bronx through the addictive nature. And I remember this very caring counselor would talk with me, and I swear nothing landed. It was all going over my head completely, completely. I was already entranced with something, and it wasn't done with me yet. Yeah. And I spent 3 months in there, and it put a little bit of a slowed up the locomotive, but the destination was inevitable. And then I got whacked, uh, struck sober, and then the next months, actually years, really, all this stuff that was revealed to me, I finally started to understand in a pragmatic way. Yes, and it was
Mhm.
just like uh, so many dominoes, and they weren't all in a straight line. They went a lot of different ways, but dominoes don't care about that. When you knock one down, it follows the
Right.
course, it just doesn't go straight. And so much stuff got knocked down, and I was easy to respond to someone sharing and understanding, which was lost for me for years. And it was proved valuable when I first went to satsang, a non-dual satsang, because I had tons of information, but it hadn't been collated in any way as non-duality has done, which is unbelievable because the non-duality gave me some simple understandings that brought out of the weeds a lot of misunderstanding. It was great, fantastic. And it's been in this place of time and space concerning all these questions, it's been the last answer. So that's awesome. Yeah.
Mhm.
About
Yep.
25, 30 years. So I don't see a new answer coming before so it's in time, that's a freaking incredible answer, the last answer, because it takes away the need for any more answers. Yeah. So I am stoked about that. And the thing is, I didn't realize in my sense that liberation is being liberated from the need to be liberated. Truly. That's what I see it as. Yeah. I saw all these wishes to be something else or somewhere else were really heavy weights, yeah, that were oppressing the event all the time. And when that got relieved, it was incredible. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So something needs to be liberated, but it's not me. Yeah. And that which needs to be liberated can never be liberated, which is great. It's great to realize that what you called you with this like drenched in personalness is mostly mechanical. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's
It's
just
becoming so obvious. It just,
action
yeah.
figure runs and
So,
all the times thinking, trying to change something that's already pre-programmed is just part of the programming. Don't you see it? Yeah. When you try to tinker with the programming as the programming, that's just more of the programming. You're not going anywhere. So, yeah.
thank you. Thank
Oh, you're
you.
welcome. I'm more than happy. I'm very happy to be here. Yeah, yeah. We
Thank
did
you.
it today. If no one wants, is there someone else?
Uh,
If,
yeah, we do. We do. We have one question in the chat, and then we have David up next.
all right. What's the
So
chat?
go ahead, David.
Oh, David. All
But
right.
I'll have David first. Yes, first. So please,
All
David,
right.
go
Yeah.
ahead.
So yeah, I have a meditation technique which um maybe you can tell me why it's not helpful because sometimes it seems to be helpful. So there's a teaching I got, I use a mantra, right, in the usual way, but then this teaching that I follow, the mantra, and the goal of the mantra are all the same thing, right? And when I do that, it's not repeat. You can't. You're the mantra, so like you can't repeat it in the normal way. But when I do that, I am able to do that. It's like I create this wall, and the small self comes out into bold relief because it seems like the wall can is trying to dissolve the self. It's as if I'm pushing myself like a rotten fruit against a wall, kind of. And there's a temptation to think that this wall can dissolve more and more of the small self, kind of. Um, but so it's just, it's more claiming that I'm doing that, but it's still powerful because there is the sensation of this wall of nothingness just dissolving the smaller self as I do that meditation. So to me that seems to be helpful.
And it can be. We're not saying not to do anything. We're trying to warn you that something's doing with whatever you think you're doing. Yeah.
Right.
Something is beating you to the punch, and what you think may be the result, it has its own result, which is using it to claim to be the one doing the shit. Yeah. We just trying to, while you're doing these things that you just explained, just have that warning. It's sort of like on a cigarette pack, they have this could be dangerous to your health, that little warning. We're just playing a public service. We kind of slap a warning because the claiming of what you're doing is mechanical. You're not sitting there in a devious cave planning your demise. The system, when it's presented with an act or a seeing or a hearing, claims it, and it uses it for its own agenda that ultimately is going to override the other agendas that you are hoping for it to be used. Yeah. If you see it, it neuters it quite a lot. And therefore, you can actually really, what do you think non-doing is? It doesn't mean not doing anything. It's doing without a doer. Yeah. All we're basically trying to warn us is that's the fact. There's always doing without a doer. Yeah. But when there's the claiming that you're the doer before the doing, so to speak, it isn't before it, but it presupposes the doer before it. I found a lot of robbery was going on without me knowing it. Even though I had a security system in my seeming house, the thief was already inside. So this is what we're just playing like a Paul Revere role, and the English are coming. The English are coming. But we're not saying don't do anything. We're saying just check out this movement is using something before you seem to get to use it. Yeah. Yeah. And then you may be used in a complicit manner without you knowing it, reinforcing that which you would like to destroy. Yeah. That's the understanding we have here and we're sharing. Yeah. I hope I was clear with that. Or right now, this was clear. See, when I speak, everything seems very clear. So to what's hearing it. So I'm just having to I mean, I've drank the Kool-Aid. I'm all for it.
I guess there's another question I had because I mean it's looking at myself. I seem to be everything I know what I'm going to say about everything before I say it. It's like I'm discouragingly rehearsed.
Yes.
And the only way that subject and object can cancel each other out, I guess, is if I have an authentically spontaneous thought, right? Or else it's just too rehearsed for that to happen.
Well,
I
that
guess.
well, no, I would you're probably going to mistake something for something else quite a lot.
Huh.
Yeah, you're gonna mistake manufactured thought to be an authentic thought. There's no authentic thoughts. There's authenticity before thought, but I don't think thoughts are authentic. Yeah, yeah.
But when it rises to the level of consciousness, that's when there's the opportunity for the subject to
Yes,
negate the object if you
exactly.
can recognize it quickly enough.
Well, you don't have to just have the spirit of negation, and it will slow up time. Uh, this is not a process dealing with another process. It's not. The negating process isn't a process. If you ever was introduced to the Course in Miracles, when they would present these lessons for the life, they would always say, do it in a relaxed manner, shit like that, not like you're running 100-yard meter run or something.
Right.
Yes.
I remember I did
This
half
is
of
the
it. Yeah.
same thing with I'm not that. This is not another process to try to negate a process. It's just relying on awareness, which is before processes, to start playing a role in our life. Yep. Yes. The basic
Yeah.
seeing of what's going on with the corrective lens of non-duality, which you're gonna take those glasses off sooner or later. That seeing isn't something that needs to constantly get restored. It becomes the vision. Yes.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
don't have to maintain it. It maintains itself after a while. Yeah. But if something's working, fucking let it work, man. But just have this warning that something is using it, while it's seemingly working with you, something else is trying to work it. That's all. This is just about bringing into awareness a lot of the mental activity that's going on without us knowing it. And I felt it had a huge influence in this life without me knowing it or without knowing it. And now I've noticed its influence through becoming aware of its activity. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
And that which is aware of the activity, I never have nor ever do call Paul. I never. Someone may think I'm saying Paul. It's not, that does not land here. Yeah. I do not think Paul is aware. I don't. I think there's an awareness of this idea called Paul that's crystal clear that I'm not that. That's fucking for sure. Now,
Yeah.
we could talk about what I am, but I think that's pointless because you're going to be talking about what we are from what we're not. So I just rather just shut up and listen to the hummingbird or the water moving and whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a huge loss of interest in the primary point because it's not the primary point. That's the great loss of interest. The only reason why self was gathering so much interest and attention, it was presented as you. When you get a stink or a smell that it ain't you, you're going to lose interest in it a lot. It's just the way it goes. Yeah. It's not heavy lifting. It isn't. You just lose interest in it. That's really its death. Its death is irrelevance. Yeah. It loves to get into a death match with you and you wrestling with it and trying to be the victim, the victor. This is irrelevance. You just lose interest in all of its seeming power.
Wow. Wow. It's not a call to arms.
What?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not a call to arms. Maybe other people it is. I've never heard it as a call to arms ever in this experience or whatever you want to call it, this life so far. In the beginning, I thought non-duality was something else I was going to do, but that was quickly uh, brought under suspicion quickly. Yeah. I remember, you ever hear of a guy named Ramesh Balsekar?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So I saw Ramesh Balsekar. I read a book by him, Who Cares? And it really moved me a lot. And so I went to India. I didn't know anybody. I went to see him because he was 85. I figure he's not going to be around long. I'd like to check him out. So I went there, and he would emphasize, from how I heard it, personal doership. That was his big thing. We're going to just put under, because it's so much, it's supposed so much. We're just going to put it under the light of investigation. And so I remember the day he was telling me this, and I went back to my guest house, and I'll tell you something. The head was the most uncomfortable trying to keep it at looking at the doership. It was just fucking, it would have done anything. It would have done like the whole guest house's laundry and folded it all. Anything. And I was watching it squirm. I hadn't seen it squirm so fucking much. And and then when I started to have the seat assignment, if you wanted a career, the death knell was bringing up personal doership because people would fucking get very uncomfortable. So to me, that's very informing. It informs me a lot. And now I don't feel like wasting any time trying to convince that which thinks it's a doer that it's not a doer. I just rather see that it keeps convincing itself that it's a doer. That's more valuable to me than trying to change it. Yeah. It's like trying to put lipstick on a pig, or legs on a snake. It doesn't, why? Why do I want to do that? So I know why before, because I thought I was the doer. I don't feel like that. Yeah. So, but if things work, man, shit, that's awesome. I mean, isn't it nice? So many people, just a little bit of nature goes a long way, does it?
Yeah.
Just like, even if you have, one of those places where you can only take one step on your balcony, it's so small, and maybe one step, this still the spaciousness of it is great, eh?
Yeah.
And then we have the great Shangri-La of sleep every day. It's fantastic. We even get sick and tired of us, man. It's great to have a break and just go to sleep completely. And it's
If I got a final question, actually, do you
oh,
find do you find that you sleep less since all this happened?
I don't know. I'm not really uh keeping notes. No. No, I don't know. I know I sleep very fast. When I lay down my head, I'm out usually
That's
quick.
one of the things associated with mystics in history and literature and so on.
They stay
But
up.
yeah, they don't sleep as much.
Oh, well.
Anyway,
Uh,
I, I've been advised to get 8 hours, so I'll do that. Try to.
yeah, you'll find a rhythm. Yeah, you know what I mean? Something finds you. The body is I'm telling you, the body does not need a mental guide. It's better off if the guide is fired, so to speak, and then the body starts relying on itself a lot more because it has a lot more, it's much more attuned to the action figure than the head is. That's for sure. The head has a grudge against the action figure. It has a huge grudge against it. Very big. Yeah. uh, yeah. So, all right. Anyone else?
I
You've
yeah.
you spent your allotment of yearly questions and all at once there. Yeah.
Thank you, David. Okay, Paul, we had a question in the chat by our friend Brian, and it goes like this. When I look back at where the seeing seems to be originating from, I don't see a person, self, Brian, associated with a face, head, or body. Taking what's given, if anything, I have only body parts. This collapses the illusory subject object duality, but then thinking somehow pulls me, quote, back into selfing mode. Have you found habitual in seeing like this to be effective at waking up reality to itself?
Well, it has, right? It did. So yeah, it can be. Um, just just take the warning that while this is occurring in time, something's claiming it. That's all. Yeah. And get clear that this is going to happen as long as you're in this time space situation. And you'll lose all interest in trying to bring that somewhere else, and that loss of interest will be the stabilization of the sun. See, a lot of these events are like the solar flares. The stabilization is more like the sun. Yeah. It's not a big explosion. It's dog shit awareness. It's the obviousness of awakeness as being present all the time when all these shenanigans are going on the surface. Yeah. So things can have their value for a period of time, and then maybe it's time to move on. Yeah. Who am I to say? But you will. Yeah. So some things, when some people call me and they say, I really need to meditate, well, then they better meditate if they really need to meditate. But if you don't need to do something, don't do it. Yeah. And so this is, to me, it's the obviousness of Zen, which is, you'll see blue is blue and red is red, or all of this incredible shit, and you're going to be chopping wood and carrying water. Yeah. It's the ordinary is the basis. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the extraordinariness of the ordinary, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah. I hope that helped or something. I guess it did. He disappeared.
Oh, he gave a thumbs up, so I think
Oh,
he's all
thumbs up
right.
are good.
Do
Yeah.
you have time to share, Ryan, or would you like to come in? Or
Do I have one?
I was just asking Brian if he had time to share or not. But
I thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. My partner Rob was on a call, so I didn't want to interrupt, so that's why I put it in the chat. But um, yeah, that's very clear to me to just consider that when I am doing that sort of so-called practice, that you know
Yeah.
it could be the head taking credit.
Well, it will be the head, but that doesn't mean it gets the credit. It's going to say it took the credit. Yes. See, this is it. This is not about stopping that. It's mechanical. That's what happens. Just like if just like my garage, there's a light in my garage that if you get close enough, it senses it and the lights go on. Yeah. So conscious contact brings about contact. The mental state is that sensitive, it picks it up and it claims the contact. Yeah, to confirm its own bias. The programming sees everything as reinforcing the programming. Just a nice understanding to have. And it will explain a whole lot of shit that was drenched in personalness that caused you to wonder, why is all this going? You'll realize a lot when that juice of personalness is removed and seeing it as mechanical. You won't see that you hate yourself or you're your own worst enemy or you're out to destroy yourself. You don't, all that gets dropped pretty quickly. Yeah. You just see there's some foreign activity that is infecting us like a flu would, but this flu is called us. Yeah. So it said, and it will tell us it gets over the flu a lot of times while we're still under the effect of flueness. Yes. Because it's like this long lasting fucking flu. And bondage of self is sort of like, let's say you have the ability to reach 12 feet, but you only reach 6 feet. Yeah. You're constrained, you're held, you're bound. Yeah. So something that was bigger is now smaller because it's bound. And this is what gets relieved. The relief is from the need to be relieved. It's a relief that doesn't have an opposite. It's just yeah, yeah. The way I felt with it and over the years, the relief of this message is not relief like after not lifting weights after I lifted weights for 20 minutes. Yeah. It's not like this relief. It doesn't have a reason why. It's a condition not based on a condition. Yeah, there's just an ease or something. And after a while, you can pick it up. You know, it's not coming from the same store you were being, you know, you were buying everything from. Yeah, yeah. We're not 2 levels below coconut, even though some people act as if it. Yeah, there is an awareness inherent in awakeness. And uh, when the awakeness is seen to be a fact, not an arrival, but a fact, uh, the awareness then is unfettered. It's not being put to use to become awake. And that's, to me, presence is undirected interest and attention, really. So when that interest and attention or that awareness isn't being put to work all day, then it rests in its own nature. Yeah. And I feel that's the presence that's many of us are sorely seemingly missing. Yeah. Yeah. If everything is directed and going and trying and this and that, uh, it looks different if it's dispersed than if it's resting. When it's resting, to me, that's presence. That's the presence we are. Yeah. Yeah. It's not saying it's not available, but here in time and space, it gets dispersed and gets sort of, so we're constantly aware of shit that's talking about the past and the future. We're constantly spending uh, interest and attention on false evidence appearing real. And this is sort of a very economical, uh, really like a conservative, like a conservation of interest and attention. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are interested in thoughts about next week. I don't have any interest really in thoughts about next week, which is great because there's no next week. So I rather have what the only I don't need I used to be a house painter. I didn't need there was an old study in Australia when I was there that they said you have like 70,000 thoughts a day. 70,000. Now, did I need 70,000 thoughts a day to be a house painter? Of course, I didn't. Yeah. I was never like perplexed when I walked in a room. There would be trim, a ceiling, some windows and door. You know, never wow, never surprised. I had the paint. I didn't think about how, and maybe I had a couple of thoughts about what I was going to get for lunch. Maybe 15 thoughts would make me through the workday. What are the 69,985 thoughts fucking doing? They're reinforcing this idea of the thinker. Oh, unbelievably. Yeah. It makes no sense unless you realize all you're obsessing over things is not about the thing you're obsessing over. It's reinforcing the thing that's obsessing over a thing. That's what it's used for. Yeah. It's not the thing. That doesn't mean shit, really. It's reinforcing it's you obsessing. That's why. Yeah. So when you recognize it, uh, its sentence doesn't end like with an exclamation point. It changes. It changes the whole meaning of things. It does, really. Yeah. And I have great faith that you'll be the better for it as the action figure. I do. I think you'll travel lighter. Yeah. I mean, everyone has the shit. I mean, I went to an AA meeting today and, you know, again, my friend, my sponsee, he's going to a funeral of a young girl who killed herself. That's a friend of his daughter who's like 16 or 15, killed herself. Yeah. So, uh, why? Bullying. She got bullied supposedly on social media. Yeah. Can you imagine? I can't imagine what it would be like because at that age, seemingly, the self-centeredness is so amplified. I mean, everything is monumental. And the poor, some of these reactions can be deadly to all that. Yes. Can you imagine if we had it, if you had like Instagram when you were a 14-year-old punk in Catholic school? I mean, we drove kids out of school because their lips were purple or their nails were a little too long. Fucking, the parents would have to take them out. It would be unbearable. And that was in just a confined in a school. This is so people are fucking jeez. So uh yeah. Yep. All right. Thank you. Hey,
Thank you, Paul.
nice to meet you. Yes. See you guys. Anyone else?
Yeah, Raj Mahal has his hand up.
Who?
Raj Mahal.
Oh, Raj Mahal. All right, Raj.
What's up? How you doing, Paul?
I don't know, bro. I do not know. It's a
Well,
it's a mystery right now. Yeah.
can I ask
Nice.
you a weird question?
The weirder the better. What is it?
Um, so what's your take on um like the cities and high intuition and that sort of thing? What's your take on that stuff?
Nice why they lasted. They
Yeah,
were nice while they lasted. Yeah.
I felt like I had went through a phase where that stuff was like kicked up pretty high
Yeah.
and then it kind of faded.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's part of it. I mean, people who I respect, like Ramana and stuff, would warn you about getting too involved in those things. Yeah, that was enough for me. But Kundalini is something not to fool around with, obviously. If you're, if you're going to be switched from 110 to 240, you make sure the wiring is ready. You're going to go, it could be a rough little ride, so to speak. But ultimately, I don't believe uh, this isn't about getting the right sum and then turning it into a total. Yeah. So I don't believe these are causes of anything. But yeah, for some people, they proved useful. For others, they proved detrimental. Again, none of these things have a meaning in and of themselves. It's the meaning that we give them. Yeah. Yeah. So I think you outgrow stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't your head go into mortal terror?
To some degree. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's usually so if you amped up the energy, it would go to a higher degree of mortal terror. Now, mortal terror, uh, and yet you don't pass away is revealing it.
Right.
Yeah, so that which was, see, I have had situations in this life where the way my head dealt with stuff is somehow the thing was familiar. Like when I got really sick and it could have been scary, but then it would find solace because, oh, you've had this before. Yeah. And so that it would be familiar. But sometimes in life, it got to the point where the pseudo captain just threw his captain's hat and jumped overboard. Fucking just left the situation.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any thoughts or anything. And I was just fucking full on. Yeah. And then after the storm passes, it tries to show back up and claim to have been the one who weathered the storm. But it was very conspicuous of its absence while you were going through like I had the COVID once and or it had me and it put fire to my lungs that I'd never felt before. And as the head that was trying to manage and narrate the COVID went past its limit and he just jumped ship. Just I didn't hear from the thoughts for a while. That's happened a few times. And the funny thing is, that's which is afraid of something. When you're in that something, uh, there's no fear. I mean, time slows down and other shit happens. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It could be valuable. It could not be valuable. It's what the mind, the big M mind, does with it. Nothing has meaning here other than what's given to it. So if mind gives meaning to kriyas, far out. If it doesn't, far out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But as a ruler, I went with Ramana and other people that I respected that said, don't get caught up in that. Just don't take your eye off the ball, so to speak.
I think like for myself, I was chasing it for a little while, and it I feel like it kind of led me to non-duality actually.
Well, there you go. So it was given great value.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, like, the car can take you to jail or it can take you to, a fucking spa visit up in Calistoga. Yeah. You can't blame the car. It can take you there or there. So, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But I don't believe I don't believe anything is necessary because the awakeness is a fact. Now, I believe in the dreaming that it may look like these things were necessary for something to be allowed, but I don't believe that's the truth of things. I believe that's an autistic expression of something. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I follow you.
So I had a story like, do you believe, see, with it would look like something brought me to sobriety, but it didn't really because I got struck sober. It had I had already entered into pitiful, demoralized, incomprehensible condition, and I was settling in there really, and I was just I've accepted my fate that I just wanted to stay oblivious until I went to jail, institution, or another or death. Yeah. And then something intervened and whacked me. And then that night, I was introduced to a way of life called recovery, and I've been in that way of life for 36 years. Now, it was obvious that no human power could produce that effect, including me. Yeah. And I'm a believer that no human power produces any effect other than that which the mind wants, the big M mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Mm. So when people go, well, isn't it because this happened, that happened, this happened, that you were like tenderized so that you could be cooked a certain way? Yeah, it looks like that through the lens of time and space, but I don't believe that. I don't believe that your nature has been a constructed condition or somewhere that you weren't and you arrived at. I don't believe that. I believe uh, it's always been this way. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just a belief. That's how I see it.
So are you saying that like there's no agency in your path to sobriety? That it was just kind of like you say, struck?
Yes, I feel like I was struck sober and then I was introduced to a way of life that would extend that miracle.
Okay.
That's how I see it. I believe that if I wasn't introduced to that way of life, it would have died on the vine maybe after a day or two, just like people's peak experiences. But luckily there was a 1-2 punch in the punch, which is I got whacked and then I was brought through consequences to the first AA meeting I ever went to. And became, I found the action figure found a home in that way of life. Yeah.
Do you think that there was agency as an action figure after you were struck to like help you support you in recovery?
In my case, I don't think so because the momentum of the whack was like, a big wave and it had a lot of power in it. I just rode the wave. And basically, when I seemingly came to back to Paul, I was already in the habit of being sober. So all the questions that I could have asked and taken an exit never even came up the first few years. I just
Okay.
lived the life and liked a lot of it. I liked meetings, I liked the whole thing. And then I came to and something was already set, which was pretty good. I was in the habit of being sober. To me, the sobriety, it's been as if I'm in a completely different movie than I was before. This movie has no alcohol or drugs in it, as if it never existed. Yeah. The other one, there was a lot of that shit. It's almost as if uh, I never think about it, or I've never had a strong feeling either way about drugs or alcohol for 36 years. I did not produce that, and I'm not the agency to produce that. I'm
Yeah.
just expressing it and observing it. I'm observing the effect, and I express it with sort of joy and gratitude, I hope. Yeah.
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 I
So,
the reason why I asked that question is because I work for a treatment center as a case manager, and
yes.
that's like one of the big questions that I have within myself is like how much agency, does an individual have in those situations? I mean, of course, that's like what we as professionals are consistently talking about.
Well, you can have great agency. It's not yours. So
Yes.
the agency of spirit can in that vernacular can use you like it
Yes.
uses other things. It can employ you, like it says in AA, you're going to have a new employer. What does employ mean but to use? So
Right.
something that agency of all agency can use you to be an agency for someone else, for sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
and that's when I feel the most effective, when I feel like there isn't Raj involved in this
Yes,
picture.
of course. Yes.
Right.
This is the whole point. It's in self-forgetting. Yeah. Yes. And so when you feel the best is when you're not trying to figure out, do I feel the best? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You just, yeah. Yeah. I went to an AA meeting today, got sucked into the way of AA. It was great. Ended up going somewhere that I wasn't intending to go and doing some stuff that I wasn't intending to do. Yeah. As soon as I went into that room, I had made myself available and I was used. I was. What was I expecting? I was expecting pretty much that. The beauty of how he set it up was great. I just walked in, the end of the meeting, someone says something, asked me, and there we went. Yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I had a loose idea of what I was going to do and who I wasn't going to be doing it with, and that was changed, and and I feel so grateful for that opportunity. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So now, is that true or not? Hey, listen, if your life isn't an autistic expression, yeah, you got to look at yourself and see you're a brush and something can use you and enjoy the art that can be made through you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I dig it. I dig it, man.
Yeah, I love that expression.
Yeah. So that's work. See, the action figure, it, this is why I humbly believe Ramana Maharshi said there's only two things. Yeah. He says, either you see the origin of the misery, which is not you, or if you're outmatched and you're in this world, just admit that you're outmatched, thy will be done. Yeah. So he would say, who is there to surrender and to whom? And then at the next second, recommend surrender constantly. Yeah. So I feel in the action figure world, surrender is much more sense felt by the action figure than no thingness. I just do.
Yeah.
So in one sense, there's the no thingness, and the artistic expression of the no thingness is through an action figure or through a world of puppetry. And so it's nice to be moved, and your arm gets moved, and this is the right thing, and all like that, and realize you're not the mover of it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like life is, I truly believe it's an artistic expression, truly. Yeah, really. And and it's great if you're held as the brush instead of the artist or the paint, you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, so yeah. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul, we still have a couple hands up. We have Deborah and Ernie. So go ahead, Deborah.
All right. Yeah. I had plans. My plans have been dashed today. That's pretty good.
Hi, you guys. Hi, Paul. I just wanted to say hi. I came in to get some cod.
Deborah, how are you?
Still cod. I can see that, man.
You still
Yeah,
what?
it hasn't changed a bit. It's still cod.
Cod. Oh, yes, yes, definitely. In
Should
this
be
sea,
more
there's
like
only one fish,
that's right.
and that's
It's
cod.
more like thank you for your starvation. Thank you for starving me a little bit more.
Oh, you're welcome, honey. Anytime.
All
If I
right.
have a smile, it may be a little bit of sadism in there. I don't know.
Oh well, it's all right.
So
Thanks.
it's being put to good use. Nice to see you, Deb. Thank you very much. Come back again, eh? You're one of our alumni. And remember, you're a lifetime member of ZenBitSlap.com. Remember that, yes? Yes. All right. All right. Anyone else, Mike? Whoever's running this thing, Michael.
Well, Ernie had his hand up, but he put it down. So
Yeah. Hi, Paul. Hi, everyone.
Oh,
Thank
it's
you for
Ernie.
the.
How are you, Ernie?
I'm very good. Thank you. Thanks for the spiel today. I just thought like it reminds me. There's just a thing that rings a bell to me when you said like it's like the same as when you're conscious of being like humility or trying to be humble, and you're conscious of being humble, then you are not humble because you are already conscious. So reminds me of this just it's either me or the self. It's like when Kabir says when the beloved is then the me is not there, and then when
Yes.
the beloved is not, it's like a 180 degrees. It's like it's either you or not the other way, because as he said, the line, the love lane is so narrow that one can only be in it. It's either the beloved or the me or the self. So I guess when we are aware of the world, it is the ego that is aware of the world, because what we are when we are aware of ourselves is nothing but just self-shining, is
Oh,
self-aware. It
oh.
doesn't need an object
I
to
would
be.
go that when we're aware, that's just the claiming of the awareness by the head.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry,
The
just my
awareness came
word.
first. And I
Yeah,
humbly believe, I like what Kabir said, but the underlying fact is you are the beloved.
yeah.
Now, in this world, you can seem like you're not, or you can seem like you are, but the underlying fact is you are, which I
Mm.
believe brings a lot of relief. Yes.
Yes, I think that. Yeah,
Yes.
just that's what you said on the other video too. Just I am aware as opposed to I awareness as the awareness of. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's really what the Maharshi said, that the world is just a thought. I mean, I
Yes.
also been to the reason it rings a bell that just the mind is a machine, because I was also reading some books of George Gurdjieff and Jay Krishnamurti. They're talking the same thing as a machine.
They
So
are.
as you said, like if you see the machine punching holes in the papers, and once you notice it, because the system cannot get out of the system, and it's finished, and that's it.
Exactly.
So that really rings the bell. So, and what you are not what you are. You know what you are, but it's just simply being.
I
It's
see.
not you can't. Yeah, you can't think of it. When you say, you just land on it and just sit on it, and that's exactly, I think, because the answer is not in the mind.
The thing
So,
with the mechanicalness, because when we think of a machine, we think of it as a person. You really need to express the mechanicalness of it. And I think a lot of times that needs some repeating, because the habit of taking mechanical reactions as your personal choice is strong. I've seen it in a lot of people. Yeah. So the idea of harping on that and repeating it is using the poison as the antidote, so to speak, repetition. So we're using a poison in time called repetition as an antidote, yeah, by pointing out the mechanicalness of things. Yes. Yeah.
it's like the thief trying to be a police. He's trying to catch the police. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. It's the
Thank
same
you.
thing. Yeah. It's like two sides of a coin. Each side says they haven't met the other, but it's two sides of the same coin. Yeah. Here's the cat. This is very rarely this cat's not is seen by humans in the house. Almost no one sees it, but here you're getting a chance to see it. This is Fatso. She's been with us for 9 years now. Yeah, look at her. Yeah.
She's been with us for 7.
Or 8 years. Seems like forever.
7.
But that's her. So you got to see someone that very few people get to see. Fatso. Hey, that's it, I think, now. My plans have been smashed sufficiently. I want to thank you for that. Yeah. I got to go to plan B. All right, Judy. Judy Lovins. Thank you so much. David Lowe. We got Mia, Michael Stacy, Kerry, Kathleen. Kerry has promised to give us tours of Carol's house and his house when they're done in lovely Hawaii. So we're going to hold you to that, Kerry. Yeah. Erin Brown, nice to see you. Tobias, everyone. James Olson, Kathleen, Pennsylvania. Alan Olson. Wow. Alan and James. Ooh, I just felt some Shakti move through me. Gotta calm down. Esther. Ernie. Nice to see you, Ernie. Chris P. Always. There's Annette. Mika, Sid, Oksana, I wanted you to come to some of the talks before I say anything about a one-on-one. I don't usually like doing one-on-ones, but if you really want to, I will do it.
Thank you. Thank you.
People that listen to the meetings first, because the best of Paul H is here. I feel so. It goes against my financial well-being, but that's how I feel about it. Esther, Tom M, Stephanie, Mike G, Lynn D, Raj Mahal. Hey man, don't doubt your being of service, Raj. You're being of service. Something that has huge agency is working through you. So yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome. Yeah, we need people like that. Okay. Everyone, I think I got everybody. Remember now, there's not going to be another Tuesday meeting in the afternoon for the next 3 weeks. We'll be back on the 24th of September, and the time in Italy doesn't work for 4:30. It would be like 1 or 2 in the morning. I don't think we can do that.
So the next
Nor that,
meeting,
nor so.
so the next meeting will be so that you can tell them it's not the 24th. It's
Well, we're gonna put it up.
the October 1st.
That's the next meeting, October 1st. So October 1st. So school's out for summer. Yeah. No, we'll be here though Tuesday mornings, except for next week. We'll have the Tuesday meeting, the Thursday meeting, and the Saturday meeting. Wednesday night will be gone, and Tuesday afternoon will be gone. All right? But it'll be on the website. Thank you so much for everything.